You mentioned, Ty, that you've got about 600 acres that you're farming up in BC. And I've noticed on TikTok and some of the other platforms you're creating on, you get pretty real about the struggles, I guess, maybe of protecting that land. So how does that even work? I mean, to me, it's like if you own the land, you own the land, right?
Great point, Kevin. And what he's kind of alluding to is right now we farm 200 acres right next to our potato operations, is some of the best soil in all of Western Canada. So it's a sandier soil. It's about 10 meters higher than any of the other land around. And it produces the first potatoes in all of Canada every year. This is 200 acres of farmland that we rent from the federal government. So our family has rented it for the last 50 years. And it is extremely important to food security in British Columbia. You know, we start planting this field in February, most years, February or March. And we get our first potatoes off them in May, as well as another farmer does some carrots and some cabbage. So what it does is it basically just provides food security from May, June, and July for Western Canada. And it's at risk right now of being developed. So all around it is industrial buildings that have erected over the years. And this land isn't protected by something that we call the Agricultural Land Reserve. It's zoned for mixed employment. So what makes it so attractive to develop is industrial land right now in British Columbia is selling for $5 million an acre.
Holy.
Yeah. Wow. And this land is 300 acres, 220 of it is farmable. So if they were able to sell it industrial, it's worth over $1 billion. So there is some conversation around the federal government selling it, and it's been added to something like called the disposal list. So that is actually why I started my TikTok account. Mm-hmm. Why I started posting on social media was it doesn't take very long to realize, Kevin, how important this land is to the people that live in Vancouver, the people that live in Western Canada, because it essentially adds 2 months of local growing season to the market. I created a few videos on it, and one of them went viral, and that's kind of where Potato Ty was born.
There we go. There we go. Wow, I had no idea. So basically, it's an arbitrage of its use as farmland versus its saleable value as industrial land. Yeah. And it's almost like the pressure cooker keeps building for like outside interest to say like, hey, look, just do the economic thing, sell all the land for $1 billion, mm-hmm. versus letting, you guys farm it or someone else farm it, which seems like the highest and best use of land absent like the saleable value of the land.
Totally. And like once land goes to concrete, it never comes back. But our argument to that is we understand that there is a massive demand for industrial warehousing. We buy parts, we use companies, we know how hard it is. We own a potato chip company. So like we have to find these warehouses. But our argument is like, let's not develop our most valuable farmland. Let's go find some other land that's mm-hmm. maybe in the marsh or maybe just growing hay and develop that. But this piece of land does 50 million servings of vegetables a year at a time when no other fields in Canada are producing. So like it is our food security. And I think that's why the videos on it did so well. Like one of my first ones got over 1 million views. And from that, we were able to launch a petition that got 80,000 signatures. Mm. And from that TikTok community, then the mainstream media was interested in it and started doing articles. But they weren't before. But once they saw that it got 1 million views on TikTok,
of course.
Oh yeah, we'll do a story on it.
Yeah. Have you seen that sort of upswell in interest and support translate into, like, how does this get resolved, I guess? Is there some sort of commitment that needs to be made that it will not be sold, or how would that work?
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like having a covenant put on the land that it would stay in agriculture would be the ultimate win on it. But it's a long process. We've been dealing with politicians, lobbying. Like I never thought I would be involved in politics coming to be a farmer, but I've learned so much. And at the end of the day, the federal government says that a decision within the next 2 to 3 years would be a quick decision. But there's a lot of things that go into that. There's something here in Canada, or I think it is across North America, called Truth and Reconciliation. And that is honoring the Indigenous people that lived on our land before we came here. And since it's federally owned land, it has to go through Truth and Reconciliation. So we're trying to work with some of the First Nations groups so that at the end of the day, truth and reconciliation is honored and food security is honored. Because in the past, it's kind of been one or the other. And I think if we put our brains together, we can come up with a situation and a solution that can honor both. And one doesn't need to be sacrificed at the cost of the other.
So how much of the 600 acres, I guess, do you own outright versus rent? Because if you owned it, then it would have already gone through this process, and then you can just say, hey, no, we're not selling it, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we own about 200 acres of the
Okay.
600.
Can you buy it as agricultural land from the federal government or no?
Unfortunately, not. One, it would still be $150,000 an acre.
Right.
So times that by 220 acres.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't even go that big.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're
many
looking at
many millions. Yeah.
$30 million. And so that's a lot of money, even for agricultural land. And two, there's a process of disposal. So it would be like we would be last on the list to get a chance to buy it. It would be like the province would get a chance to buy it, then the city of Surrey would get a chance to buy it, and then like it would be like something else, and then random farmers. So
is this a common problem that you're seeing across farming in Canada? Is this specific to your guys' area, the super fertile soil, et cetera, or is this like something that just seems to be happening everywhere?
No, it's a major issue in Canada, and hardly anyone's talking about it. I flew across the country last week to New Brunswick, or 2 weeks ago, to go speak at an agricultural meeting. And I brought this up, and I was the only one that spoke about all the farmland that's being developed. You know, in Ontario, it's 319 acres a day of farmland is being developed. That's insane.
Yeah, that's insane.
Even here in British Columbia, over the last 20 years, we've seen some of the most fertile lands now have a mall on it. Like there's 1,000 acres of potato land that used to be some of the best potato land that has a mall called Tsawwassen Mills on it now. It's just a massive mall with insane amount of parking. And that used to be able to feed all of BC for like a month just from that one field. And it's just completely wiped out.
That just seems so dumb. Like it seems so short-sighted to put up the 74th strip mall or mall compared to like a one-of-one agricultural resource in that land, right? I don't get it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Is there something that, let's say, I'm not Canadian. What can I do, or what can someone listening do to kind of put some attention onto this?
Yeah, that's super hard, because at the end of the day, the battle is going to be won and lost in Ottawa, you know, in front of the Senate or whatever, like the policymakers. But I think just even sharing the videos that give information so that people are aware. At the end of the day, people just need to be aware of what's going on. And then when there is action items, they're more willing to step up to the plate. Or sometimes people have great ideas and send me great ideas and like, hey, this would actually work really well. Yeah. So I think just like sharing the information is one of the best ways to care about it.
Watch the full episode right here and subscribe for more new episodes every single week.